Presentation is my assessment and summary of the peer-reviewed article by John N. Ugoni, KICS, a model of motivational leadership in organizations. This article is the summation of a study in which the research produced a model of motivational leadership named KICS, which is the acronym for Knowledge, Intelligence, Collaboration, and Synergy. The study argues that the synergy of the related emotional intelligence competencies leads to motivational leadership behavior. Knowledge is key because there are different types of leadership and situations that require different types of knowledge. The person who possesses the knowledge needed in certain situations tends to become the best leader for that situation. Intelligence is added to knowledge in order to sustain a chosen course in the face of distraction and difficulty. These combine to produce a motivational leader. Leaders are often rated by the level of admiration of their followers and the level of impact that the leader has on them. Motivational leaders inspire people around them because they develop a common group identity, collaborate with others for the common good, lead teams toward achievement of organizational objectives, are not autocratic, and remain committed to the course set out in the vision. The KICS leadership theory is supported largely by transformational leadership concept. Transformational leaders inspire success by affecting followers' attitudes about what the organization should be, as well as their basic values such as trust, fairness, and responsibility. Transformational leaders seek to create a sense of loyalty, ownership, and commitment in followers, in addition to encouraging new ways of problem solving through knowledge and sharing. The four components of the KICS begin with knowledge. Knowledge involves the leader's ability to self-evaluate, the skill to identify and understand the perspectives of others. According to Nakona and Takuchi, knowledge is either explicit or tacit. Explicit knowledge is that which is necessary for job performance, while tacit knowledge deals with emotional intelligence, which provides the skills for collaboration with others. So according to Ugoni, explicit knowledge is necessary for management, but you must also possess tacit knowledge for leadership. The latitude of human knowledge opens the gate to human intelligence and widens the scope of human collaboration. Intelligence is the aggregate or global capacity of the individual to think rationally and to deal effectively with his or her environment. Or simply put, it's the ability to make correct decisions. In addition to conventional general intelligence, a leader needs emotional intelligence in order to connect with their followers. Emotional intelligence is the capability or the capacity to reason about emotions and for emotions to enhance their thinking. Someone with emotional intelligence would be able to accurately perceive emotions, generate emotions as to assist thought, to understand your and others' emotions, and regulate emotions as to promote emotional and intellectual growth. The study asserts that emotional intelligence complements general or academic intelligence, or IQ, which has not been found to be key to successful leadership. One of the most important skills in leadership is the ability to read human perspective, to be aware of what's happening. This is important in team building. Successful leaders are able to create enthusiasm for a shared vision and mission. These leaders guide the performance of others, hold them accountable, and lead by example. This is best done in cooperation with followers. Thus, it is collaboration. Collaboration is the art of making an impact through people, the ability to pull together and to attract colleagues to work as a team for the achievement of organizational goals. When teams operate at their best, they are better than the sum of their members. They're multiplicative, with the talents of one catalyzing another to produce results which are beyond what either could have produced working separately. Collaboration creates relationships. Within these relationships, the motivation. Interpersonal skills and compatibility of the members greatly affects the group's performance. Synergy, by definition, is the interaction of elements that, when combined, produce a total effect that is greater than the sum of the individual elements, contributions, etc. What Ugomi calls synergistic proposition is based on clusters of emotional intelligence competencies which are related, such as parts of a whole. These clusters are behavioral groups of the design competencies. For example, the different competencies from knowledge, intelligence, collaboration by themselves may not be effective in leadership, but used in conjunction, they create a positive result. There's no single competency that can lead to success. Rather, a combination and configuration to match the situation of multiple competencies synergized lead to organizational success. The data for this study were collected from a 20-item survey titled Motivational Leadership Questionnaire, and there were 133 copies personally administered by the researcher to assistants, and the data was used to generate this KICS model. Thank you. The following is my summary and assessment of the peer-reviewed article by S. Dwayne Hansen, Benjamin Dunford, Bradley Alge, and Christine Jackson. Corporate Social Responsibility, Ethical Leadership, and Trust Propensity, a multi-experience model of perceived ethical climate. The authors of this article maintain that when forming ethical climate perceptions, employees consider the actions and characteristics of a number of actors which are intertwined. Specifically, they suggest that employees look outward, or how their organization and its actions impact the community; upward, or how ethical the leaders of the organization are; and inward, at their own tendency to trust others as they form their perceptions. They conducted a study at a U.S. corporation which is privately held, and the study they found substantial evidence to support their theory. Ethical climate, as defined by Wimbush in 1997, is stable, psychologically meaningful perceptions members of the organization hold concerning ethical procedures and policies existing in their organizations and organizational subunits. Existing research on the formation of employee ethical climate perceptions have focused mainly on organizational characteristics, making the understanding of the context of ethical climate incomplete. This is why the researchers saw the need to conduct this study. Ethical climate perceptions form a powerful context influence and represent what scholars refer to as higher order social structure, a socially interactive context within which individuals operate and which highlights the behaviors and responses that are expected, supported, and rewarded. Therefore, it is essential to understand how employees form ethical climate perceptions. In 1988, Victor and Cullen wrote that organizations are social actors responsible for ethical and unethical behaviors of their employees. This means that organizations can take actions not only to improve ethical climate, but also to improve their employees' ethical behavior. So, ethical climate is not only a function of context, but part of context itself. For example, perceptions of ethical climate are associated with numerous positive outcomes at the individual, such as job satisfaction, organizational commitment, and ethical employee behavior. And at the organizational level, things such as efficiency, social responsibility, and organizational learning and performance. Other precursors that help shape positive ethical climate are the age of the firm, departmental structure, organizational structure, and organizational history. Individuals bring some possible detriments to the ethical climate perception, which include gender, age, and moral values. The development of ethical climate perceptions is complex, and to understand the authors use Rupp's from 2011 employee-centered experience model. This theory specifies that employees' justice experiences in the workplace are determined by employees looking to see how fairly they themselves are being treated in the workplace, looking around to see how fairly others within the organization are being treated, and looking out to see how fairly external parties outside the organization are being treated. The author's model suggests that corporate social responsibility perceptions influence employee inferences about leaders, and that these inferences play an important role in forming ethical climate perceptions. Next, they explain how and when employees receive or perceive their work climate to be ethical, which further bolsters the idea that organizational actions lead to ethical climate perceptions. And they link aspects of corporate social responsibility, ethics, justice, and trust that have over time involved closely related principles and processes pertaining to organizations. This approach allowed the authors to study the organization, its leaders, and the employees in context with each other, rather than most of the previous studies which study these actors in isolation. What the researchers found was the multi-experience framework for understanding ethical climate perceptions was supported. Corporate social responsibility perceptions can be outward or an outward-looking measure of an organization's CSR activity was associated with employee ethical climate perceptions, and this relationship was fully mediated by the employees' perceptions of top management's ethical leadership as employees looked upward at their organization's leadership. As also hypothesized, the relationship between corporate social responsibility perceptions and top management ethical leadership was moderated by employee inclination to trust, as employees considered their own internal tendencies to trust or not to trust. Theoretically, this study should help actors understand the relationship between corporate social responsibility and ethical leadership in the formation of ethical climate perceptions. Secondly, the study helps explain how and when employees perceive their work climates to be ethical. And finally, the study integrates justice and CSR studies by suggesting that employees process information about CSR as they would process justice-related cues. Specifically, employees with strong propensity to trust are more likely to infer from CSR information that organizational actions are due to sincere concern and integrity or ethical leadership of top management. Thank you.